Okay, so
What's happening with Windy and Warm here?
so I've got it memorized
Okay.
because you know how I am. I like to memorize the whole thing, and then I messed around with the chords, and the chords did help, and kind of helped me with the 5th or 6th string use.
Okay.
You know, and then to be a little more confident about what fingers I was using, why I was using them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that helped me. But I got more obsessed about having to know that last part.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know. And
Yeah.
so that's what I did.
Okay.
So I practiced that. So really, I knew already all the way up to the, part.
Right. See, last week you had like all three,
Yeah.
the first 3 parts down pretty well.
Kind
Well, no, you had them
Pretty good.
Yeah, you had them
Pretty
sketched out
good.
pretty well in your head, and
of. Yeah. I'm still
just not quite as comfortable with them yet as you wanted to be, I think. But you had them.
Right.
They were working.
Yes, and there's certain areas that I have to stop and think about still, like and then switching there I have to
Right,
think.
so that's a little, you gotta make a conscious. Good.
So I got it.
Yeah.
But I've been messing with it. But when I come over here, I have to think to get that finger there. I don't know why, but when I come, I go. I always have to hesitate a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you said don't twist, so I've been trying to work on that.
Really
so
good.
I'm not twisting, but
Yeah.
I'm.
You could pull it a little further. I mean, you can have a little more recoil. Yeah, so the bass note here, when we do this slide, you're hitting an E in the bass. The
Yeah.
reason we're hitting an E in the bass is we're going to some kind of E chord.
Okay, so what are we going to?
And the second bass note gives it away. Forget
Yeah.
what you're doing there with your fingers. Wait, what'd you hit as the second bass? Right. So play an E chord.
Oh, so it's E7, isn't it? Would it be E7?
Maybe. Wait. Oh no, we're not worried about the melody.
Okay.
It could be E. We could consider it E. But right. But it's that note. Now, what E chord has that string open?
E minor.
E minor.
Okay.
Okay.
Right there.
That's okay. No, that's why I didn't want you to look at it. Okay.
Okay.
So we're doing this stuff up here, and these bass notes here
Yeah.
are the bass notes that give us the sound of an E minor chord,
Got it.
whatever the melody's doing.
See, I look at that and I say that couldn't be E minor.
This is E minor right here. When I'm playing these 2 notes in the bass, because those are, now if I had the rest of the chord down, I would do this in the bass, and I'd be using this as part of as a melody note or something.
Right.
But because the melody notes here are too high for us to hang on to this chord,
Right.
especially to do that slide, we're not going to go to the trouble to do this. In other words, going to a lot of trouble to get this bass note on when we can be doing this in the bass,
Right.
and those are totally acceptable bass notes for an E minor chord.
Right.
As long as it's particularly important is that we have the E in the bass on the first beat. Okay?
So it's the third of E.
And then the second bass note, and one of the things we talked about last time a little bit was the second bass note just has to be some part of the chord. It's
Right.
not as important whether it's the root or the third, whether it be like another root. We want to have the root on the first beat,
Right.
a low root, let's say, if we have choices of them.
Right.
And if we were playing E minor here, what we'd have is 2 E's,
Right.
an octave apart. And so if I was gonna make up a little melody around this E minor chord here, I probably wouldn't even waste a finger here. I would probably play this E with this finger, and now I've got the bass notes established. Now I've got 3 fingers that could be playing stuff here. And if I want the melody to go higher, I could maybe switch to this finger here. That would allow me to reach maybe the 5th fret. But if I wanted to go even higher with the melody notes, there's a couple things I could do. If I want this to still be the bass, this note to be the bass note, I could maybe get it on this string. Now I'd be doing 6 and 5 in the bass, and that would let me reach So
Okay.
so what are you going to do on B7?
Wait, no. Oh.
You can do that. No, if you were finger picking, yeah. Okay, now that would be like the standard 2-note pattern.
Right.
But what could you do as a 3-note pattern?
Well, you'd have to go.
There you go. Do you hear it?
Yeah.
See, sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. So you.
Because again, that lower note
So
is
C
where you
and B.
have.
C. C.
Oh, yeah. So for C and B chords, you can
And-
add a lower. Right.
Okay.
And
You have to alternate the bass.
if you're strumming like you were doing there,
Yeah.
it sounds really good. The strum happens on what beat? So what beat was that of the measure?
Second.
Right. If we're finger picking, we hit a bass note on beat 2. Matter of fact, if we're finger picking, we play bass notes on all 4 beats.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you're
Yeah.
strumming, you only have 2 bass notes in a measure. You put them on beats 1 and 3, and you strum on 2 and 4 and anything else in between.
Got it.
Okay? So if you only have 2 bass notes to play in a measure,
Right.
it sounds much better actually to have that second bass note be the 5th below on beat 3
Got it. Rather
than
down.
this.
Or tinny. Yeah, the upper is
The
better.
5th makes a much better second bass note
It does.
on the 3rd beat to kind of balance the root on the 1st beat.
Right.
And again, when we're finger picking though, we have bass notes on 4 beats, so we always want the one on beats 2 and 4 to be a higher one.
Got it.
And but yeah, okay. So if you're strumming on a C chord, you'd go down
Right.
to the yeah.